Could a film legend like Meryl Streep just vanish? In an age where every celebrity move is tracked, the idea seems impossible. Yet, one November morning, Hollywood was rocked by a rumor. Meryl Streep had disappeared. It happened on the final day of shooting a mysterious movie, a film so secret that no one had ever seen a complete script. The movie was called The Last Day, and it quickly became the epicenter of a storm of rumors, from on-set incidents to bizarre, otherworldly theories. The actress's disappearance wasn't just inexplicable. The film itself was wrapped in a strangeness the crew never wanted to make public. What you're about to hear is the story, pieced together from fragmented accounts, witness statements, and leaked audio, a story that many believe should have remained untold. The Last Day was announced with nothing more than a brief press release. No trailer, no behind-the-scenes photos, and absolutely no plot spoilers. When asked about it, Meryl Streep offered only a cryptic comment to the press. "This is a role that makes me feel like I have to face myself, and something else." Something else. That single phrase sent the media into a frenzy of speculation. What could it mean? Industry insiders whispered that the film revolved around a character named Elaine Harrow, a linguist living in isolation in an old house in the mountains. In the story, Elaine discovers a series of strange sounds in her home, sounds that are her own voice, but seemingly coming from the future. Meryl Streep rarely takes on supernatural roles, which made her choice all the more peculiar. Even stranger, she insisted that no one read the full script besides the director and a few key crew members. The other actors received only fragmented, disjointed lines, leaving them completely in the dark about the larger narrative. The mystery of the script was still a hot topic when the unthinkable happened, piling even more questions onto an already baffling production. On November 14th, the crew gathered to film the final scene. The setup was simple. Elaine Harrow sits in front of an old tape recorder, listening to a cassette that was mysteriously delivered to her home during the night. The location was an old wooden house in suburban New York, a place so remote it had no phone signal, no Wi-Fi, not even stable electricity. The crew had to bring in a generator just to power their equipment. Witnesses later said that Meryl Streep arrived on set earlier than anyone else that day. They found her sitting alone in the dark room where the tape recorder was placed. No one knew how long she'd been there. When the crew finally entered, she looked up and said just one sentence: "Today will be the last day," both in the film and in real life. At the time, no one understood what she meant. They just assumed it was part of her process. According to the script, Elaine Harrow was supposed to listen to a recording of her own voice, a recording the director had planned for Meryl to make herself weeks prior. But here's where things get strange. When the director asked for the tape, no one on the crew remembered recording it. They searched their equipment, but couldn't find any original audio file. And yet, the old tape recorder on the table had a cassette in it, ready to play. When the director hit the play button, the room fell into a suffocating silence. The voice that emerged from the speakers was Meryl's, but it was different. It was strained. Her breathing was heavy and ragged, as if the woman on the tape was desperately trying to get her words out before it was too late. The voice on the recording said, "If anyone hears this, leave immediately. This isn't another role. This is the last scene of my life." The crew was stunned. The director swore he had never written that dialogue. Meryl, however, remained silent. She just stared at the tape recorder and whispered, almost to herself, "I know that voice, but it is not me now. It is me in the future." Some of the crew thought she was just getting deeper into character, delivering an incredible, improvised performance. But others, especially the sound engineer, felt a growing sense of unease. He later said, "It was just us and the machine in the room." But as the tape played, it felt like there was another person standing right behind Meryl, someone we couldn't see. The final shot required Meryl, as Elaine, to walk to an old wooden door, open it, and step into the dark room beyond. The lighting was set to be just bright enough to capture her silhouette. As she disappeared into the blackness, the director called, "Action." Meryl rose and walked towards the door. The lighting technician hit the spotlight, casting a soft glow on her. She placed her hand on the doorknob. The door creaked open, and that's when it all happened. Every single light on set flickered violently, even though the generator was running smoothly. A loud, crackling static erupted from the tape recorder. Meryl turned her head halfway, as if she was about to say something, but no sound came out. For a moment that lasted only 1 or 2 seconds, the lights went out completely, plunging the room into absolute darkness. When the power surged back on less than 5 seconds later, everyone froze. Meryl Streep was gone. There was no sound, no trace. The tape recorder on the table was still spinning, but the audio had stopped on a final, chilling sound like a heavy, drawn-out breath. The crew frantically searched the house. There was no other exit, no back door. The windows were too small for anyone to climb through, and no one could have left the area anyway. A heavy downpour had turned the only dirt road into a river of mud. Meryl Streep had vanished as if she had never been there at all. The police were called immediately, but every clue they found only led to a dead end. First, there were no footprints leading away from where she stood. The floor was covered in a thick layer of dust, but the path from the chair to the door simply stopped. Second, the behind-the-scenes cameras captured nothing. The studio had 3 backup cameras running, but at the exact moment the lights flickered, all the footage became a distorted mess of digital noise. Third, the tape recorder. When forensic experts examined the cassette, they found no signs of digital editing or tampering, but the final tone recorded on it, that last breath, contained frequencies that experts described as not of human origin in the usual sense. And finally, a small notebook was found on set by a makeup artist. Meryl had left it behind. Inside, only one page was written on. It said, "Elaine's last day will be my last day. If the story wants to end, it will take the writer out of the page." No one could make sense of it. A week after the disappearance, the mystery deepened. 7 key members of the crew received an email from an anonymous account. The attachment was an audio clip, just 12 seconds long. The voice was unmistakably Meryl's, clear and calm. "Don't look for me. I've gone where the role needs me to go. When the movie ends, I'll end too." Audio experts confirmed it. The voice was not a composite, not AI generated. The room's acoustics in the recording matched the cabin perfectly. But the most disturbing part was the email's timestamp. It was sent at the exact time the crew was filming that final scene while Meryl was still on set. A message from the future? Or an elaborate, cruel hoax? With the case unsolved, the Last Day project was shelved indefinitely. All footage was sealed, never to be released. But the rumors never stopped. Some say the film contained scenes that would have terrified even Meryl herself. Others believe she became so lost in her role that the line between fiction and reality blurred, and then broke completely. And some whisper that she uncovered something in that old house, something that was never meant to be found. Perhaps the strangest account came from a local forest ranger. He claimed that 3 days after the disappearance, he saw a flickering light inside the abandoned cabin. As he got closer, he heard a woman's voice, Meryl Streep's voice, speaking slowly. "This is the final scene, but no one has seen it yet." When he pushed the door open, the house was empty. For years, the FBI and police kept Meryl Streep as disappearance filed, as a cold case with no evidence of foul play. Her family has never made a public comment. The film crew eventually disbanded, each going their separate ways. The cabin was sealed off and, years later, demolished. But to this day, locals in the area still report hearing a faint voice on foggy nights, drifting from the empty land where the house once stood. A deep, familiar female voice, as if telling a story that never got its ending. The old crew members sometimes meet up, and they always end up asking the same question: what really happened on that last day? One of them, the assistant director, once said something that sent a chill down everyone's spine. "Maybe Meryl didn't disappear," he said. "Maybe she just walked into another scene, a scene we weren't allowed to film."